The sports genre in general has never really given me much of an expectation to have, and never really gave me an appeal when it comes to anime and manga in general, because, mostly because, it's just something you could see in real life, and it's not something you really expect to be very entertaining when it comes to anime and manga. Now, this opinion quickly changed when I saw Kuroko no Basket. Kuroko no Basket is obviously, if you can tell by the name, about basketball. Basketball, Kuroko's no Basket, is pretty much about the regulars of a certain school called Teiko Middle School. These regulars are known as the Generation of Miracles. The Generation of Miracles are pretty much the big dogs in the middle school age of basketball when it comes to Japan. It was really interesting to know about these 5 players that mostly were in the dark for you for a little while, until like the coming episodes and such, as you probably know. Now, as for most people, there were only 5 people that were part of this regular team and known as the Generation of Miracles. The other part was that not a lot of people knew about was there was a 6th man, which is our main character, Kuroko. Now, as these kids moved on and went through middle school, they quickly moved on to high school, of course, and that's where our show takes off. And so, pretty much our main character is Kuroko. Kuroko being the 6th man that no one really knew about and no one takes notice to. Kuroko is actually a very interesting character, and one I really, really love. And I love the pretty much the route that they took with him of being a very weak player, someone that's not expected to be a very, a good player in basketball, pretty much. And it's not someone you'd really expect to be a part of a team of like destroyers that played in middle school that were pretty much known as the best, and that was part of the best school in like Japan, and I had 200 people playing for them, and it was a really good approach for Kuroko. Kuroko's playing style is very well done, in my opinion. I think I really love how his playing style is done. Pretty much how his style is done is pretty much he doesn't focus on shooting or like scoring points like 3-pointers and such, if you know basketball. He actually focuses on passing, and he has this strange sense of people don't really know when he's going to be in a certain place. He can like manipulate his misdirection pretty much, and how people just don't follow him. I mean, people don't even notice him. He's very short and very just unnoticeable. And that I really found that aspect amazing. I thought that was such a great idea. So with him being unnoticeable, it pretty much makes it so easy for him to pass and such. So I thought that was very well done. And I really loved Kuroko's character. I think he was a very well done character. Now as he moved on in high school, they all went to their own separate school, and he went to a school called Seirin High School, along with a certain character known as Kagami Taiga. Kagami Taiga actually becomes a very good friend with Kuroko as they both join in the same year. They get to know each other, and they soon become to know they start noticing their own play styles and become to acknowledge each other, and pretty much acknowledge that they could work together and pretty much help each other out. And I really love this aspect of pretty much the teamwork of the team, which was kind of bad. Well, there was a little parts that were bad because it's a 2-man thing when you need a whole team to get the ball rolling and everything. But I thought it was really well done, and I like how it progresses as the story goes on. Pretty much as it's told is Kagami is the light to Kuroko's shadow. So in the shadows, he's passing and making sure he gets Kagami gets his openings in the on the court, so he can do his dunks and stuff. Because Kagami is pretty much the ace of the Seirin team. He pretty much makes the scores. He dunks. He's the jumper. He's the best. The Seirin team, it's not just random people. It actually has very nice characters. One thing I don't really like is how they all pretty much look kind of the same about, like the Seirin team. I mean, they do get one character later on, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but Seirin's, I really like Seirin's characters. I think they all have character traits that are very, just lovable and stuff. I really love the characters of Seirin, even though, like, the art style, like, the characters, they're not very rememberable, but after a while and you start to, like, get used to them and know their character, you definitely remember them, which is very, very good. So that's something. I can't remember, I always forget their names, sadly. I mean, that's one thing. I do remember all their faces, like, off my mind, but their names I always forget. So moving on, as the story goes on, they obviously meet up with the rest of the Generation of Miracles, or the Kiseki no Sedai, as they're called in Japanese. Because their goal is to, Kuroko and Kagami's goal is actually to become #1 Japan. #1 Japan. So that would mean, like, facing off against the high schools that the rest of the Kiseki no Sedai actually went to. Now, they all split up on their own separate way, so they all went to their own separate high schools. And one thing I really liked is they didn't, like, drag out the whole rivalry with the Kiseki no Sedai. They actually, like, they actually brought them in really fast, and they brought in games with them really, really quickly, and I really liked how they included them in the story and, like, didn't keep them in the dark for very long. Obviously, they did keep some in the dark. They actually kept 2 members in the dark for quite a while, which is another thing I actually want to talk about later on in this video. But three of the regular Generation of Miracles actually did come in pretty quickly, and they had their own not little matches. They had really big matches with their own improvements as they went, like Kagami and Kuroko's improvements as they went on, their faults, what they can see wrong with their play styles and how to improve on them. And it was pretty much a very, like, how it started was it was pretty much a good winning streak against the 2 of the members of the Kiseki no Sedai, known as Kisei Ryota and Midorima Shupton, because I forgot his name. And both were amazing matches. I thought they were really well done. I mean, I honestly think this show was really well done in general. Not just the show, but the manga, because as soon as I saw, like, the first few episodes, I pretty much quickly ran off to the manga and read the entire thing, which is definitely worth the read. So yeah, the constantly fighting them and having them, like, always be there, I thought that was really good. Now, along with the Kiseki no Sedai, there's also the Crownless Generals, which is pretty much, if the Kiseki no Sedai didn't exist, they would be pretty much the Kiseki no Sedai. So they're around as good, but they're not as good as them. So the Crownless Generals actually, they don't play the biggest role in the story, but I felt they should be acknowledged in this. Because as the story goes on, there's actually one member missing from the Seirin High School basketball team, which actually is one of the Crownless Generals, known as Teppei Kiyoshi. I mean, well, okay, this was a big point right here, because there's not a lot of information on the Crownless Generals. I pretty much put them in here. I wrote a few things down, and this is one point I actually did want to talk about, because there isn't a lot of very big like there's not a lot of characters like to go to. They wanted to create, I'm guessing the writer wanted to not only just rely on the Kiseki no Sedai for having like people to talk about, like when it comes to like basketball rivalries and like how who they faced in middle school and stuff. So I'm guessing they created the Crownless Generals for the reason of, so they're not just like talking about the Kiseki no Sedai for like freaking forever. Now there's only one that shows up in the anime, sadly. I mean, if you they don't like the other 4 really don't show up for a long time, so I guess it wasn't really worth mentioning, to be honest. But, you know, it's good because Kiyoshi Teppei actually becomes a really big character in Seiren Team because he was originally the one who made the team, the basketball team. So I was glad they introduced him, and he's actually one of my favorite characters in the manga. I really like him. Another thing I actually wanted to talk about in this anime is the yaoi aspect. Yeah, the yaoi aspect. This show actually has a lot of fangirls. They go pretty nuts over this crap, and they love taking the Kiseki no Sedai and like throwing them in their little yaoi things. I thought it was very, I mean, it's just, it disturbs me because this show is pretty much my favorite sports anime and manga of all time, and it's like, why do you have to do this to my favorite characters? So yeah, there's a lot of fangirls, and I guess the way the art style is, I guess it, I shouldn't be saying this, I guess it kind of fits for a yaoi aspect, because he did draw them in a very pretty boy way. Now as for the anime, obviously as the anime goes on, they get into their basketball games. They go through a tournament against the teams with the Kiseki no Sedai, and it pretty much stops at one point where they face off with one of them, and they're at a high point. They've been winning a lot of games. They're doing really good, and then there's this big stop point against one of them, who has a very nice saying that pretty much goes like, "The only one who can beat me is me," and I love that line. He is known as Aomine Daiki. Aomine, man, he's a fucking bamf. He's way too good. He's pretty much the best player in the original Kiseki no Sedai. Besides the captain. I personally think the captain is much better, but that is a story for another time because that's way past the anime. So there's this big stop, and it's like this big realization right here where they need to improve and get better, and they realize all their faults. And I really like that. I love when shows do that. It's a big soft spot. I have a big soft spot for points like that, as you know from the Accel World review, where I talked about where Haru had that kind of point. Now, as with Accel World, I hate when this happens, the anime is cut short. The anime got cut off at a really good part, honestly. I really wasn't expecting it to end. I thought they were going to keep going for a long while with the manga. I wasn't expecting it to be a 26 episode series, I think. I just never heard the news. I never heard that it was being cut off. I thought it was going to keep going with the manga for a while because it really followed the manga very well. And I loved it. I loved how I was following it. So it was a really big surprise that they just ended it where they did, because they just like cut it off. It was like, psh, they're just going to finish this awesome game, and it's like, psh, done. So that was kind of a bitch move on their part. Yeah, pretty much what I said with Accel World. They need to continue that shit because, man, it's a very good It's a very good anime and a manga. I really like how they followed it very well, and I really love the animator, like the animation they've done. It's very well done. It's just, I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a season 2. I don't think it's been announced yet, but I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a season 2. I mean, why wouldn't there be? There's so much to work off of. they've got plenty of manga space to go. Yeah, there's just, I really like the second half of the manga. I mean, the second half gets really amazingly good, to the point where there's so many different diversity in the tactics of basketball, and I love how the writer like took all this in, and like how he was gonna do each little thing and each move. And they start introducing the other characters of the Kiseki no Sedai. It just gets really good, and it deserves it deserves a season 2. Like I always say, that one time, like with Accel World. Yeah, it definitely does. It's very amazing, and this show pretty much opened me up. Like it opened me up to an entire new genre, and I really love this show for that, because I never gave the sports genre any chance at all. I never did. It was just something that didn't appeal to me at all. And then I realized, you know what? Anime actually does do something to sports. They fucking improve that shit. They don't just like do, oh, okay, let's just play the game. There we go. That's why I can't watch like real life sports and stuff. It's not very appealing to me. But the pretty much the out of this world kind of stuff they do in anime and manga, that's what makes it great, and that's what makes anime great in general. Because, you know, like let's say Death Note, some dude just sitting around putting names in a book. That doesn't sound very interesting, but they did all that and made it interesting. I don't know, there's a bunch of stuff you can compare it to. It's just anime in general makes things out of this world, and it improves so much on it, in my opinion. It just makes it very enjoyable to watch, unlike regular things, you know, regular sports and such. So it definitely opened me to a very different genre. Things like Prince of Tennis I started going back and watching, which I still need to finish. I've been watching Area no Kishi and just stuff like that. I mean, just I've been opening up to that, and there was that one football manga I need to read too. Kinda forgot what it's called. But, you know, I mean, it definitely opens up a big genre for me, so I definitely love Kuroko no Basket, and I love it for giving me that chance to actually open up and have that moment, pretty much. So I think that is about it for this review. I kind of wanted to give this a kind of different approach to it, unlike Accel World, where I just kind of busted in. So if you enjoyed that kind of different approach, let me know. This is still pretty long. I was actually expecting this to be a lot shorter than before, but I guess it's still pretty long. At least it's kind of around 20 minutes. So yeah, I thought I'd give this a little bit approach. I mean, I did kind of research. I didn't do a total research haul, because I just finished watching it, so I knew a basic amount of what I was going to talk about. And I wrote some things down to make sure I had a little checklist. But that is about it. As for my score for Kuroko no Basket, since it pretty much opened this giant genre to me that I never really gave a chance, it's definitely high up there, and it's my favorite sports manga. Okay, it's amazing. I think it's so well done, especially the manga. Go read the manga. Oh my god, it gets so good later. So I actually think I mean, I kind of like this more than Accel World, because I mean, it's a different genre, so you can't really compare them. So I kind of want to give it a 9.5. Yeah, I think I'll go with 9.5, because it was a big, it's not just good, it's like an opening to something brand new. So I loved it. That's all you need to know. You should check it out. If you love anime, even if you don't love sports, you'll probably like this anime, because it's well done. The author was very smart. So I think that's about it. I'm trying to make this a weekly series because people actually wanted more of this. I don't know why. I didn't think Accel World was that well done, but you know, if people want it, I'll do it. So that is about it for this time. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this kind of new style was a bit better than before, a little bit more organized. I think like starting off, well, yeah, I think starting off without an intro and just getting right into it, I think that's a better approach to it, but, you know, just give me a few comments about it and tips and let me know if you enjoyed it. And that is about it, so I don't know what I'm doing next. I'll have to think about it on that one. I have an idea, but I'll let you know, maybe. So, hope you enjoyed this review, and I will see you guys next time.